Imagine you are lying in bed after a long, exhausting day. The room is silent, the lights are off, but your mind refuses to rest. Thoughts race. What happened today? What needs to be done tomorrow? Things you regret, things you wish had gone differently. You turn to one side, then the other, trying to escape the endless loop, but the noise inside your head only grows louder. It feels like your mind has a life of its own, pulling you in every direction, making it impossible to find peace. Why does this happen? Why is it so hard to turn off our thoughts? Have you ever wondered why your mind clings to the past or worries about the future, even when you desperately want to be calm? How is it that no matter how much we achieve, we still feel restless, as if something is always missing? Picture this. You have a glass of water in your hand, but the water is muddy. No matter how hard you stare at it, you can't see clearly. But if you stop shaking the glass and leave it still, the dirt settles, and the water becomes clear. Your mind works the same way. The more you stir it with worries, fears, and endless thoughts, the more chaotic it becomes. But if you learn to let it settle, you will see everything with clarity and peace. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where we explore deep, life-changing insights that can truly transform your mind and soul. If you have ever felt trapped in your own thoughts, struggling to find inner peace, then this video is for you. Today, we will uncover the wisdom of Buddhism, 7 powerful teachings that can quiet the restless mind and bring true stillness. Stay with us till the end, and you may find the answer you've been searching for. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. If you find value in these teachings, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more life-changing wisdom to you, and we would love to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know how this resonates with you. In this journey, we will explore why the mind becomes noisy, why peace feels so distant, and how ancient Buddhist wisdom holds the key to unlocking a quiet, still, and free mind. Every part of this video will take you deeper into understanding the true nature of your thoughts and how to master them, rather than being controlled by them. Most people believe that peace comes from fixing external problems, getting a better job, a bigger house, or the perfect relationship. But Buddhism teaches that real peace is not about changing the outside world. It is about transforming how the mind interacts with it. No matter what happens around you, if your mind is still, you remain unshaken. But if your mind is restless, even the smallest problem can feel overwhelming. The Buddha once said, "Rule your mind, or it will rule you." This is the foundation of everything we will discuss. If you don't take control of your thoughts, they will take control of you. The first step to quieting the mind is understanding why it resists silence. Have you noticed that whenever you try to sit in stillness, your mind suddenly brings up old memories, regrets, or endless worries? This is because the mind is addicted to movement. It fears stillness because, in silence, all the things we avoid finally come to the surface. Buddhism teaches that your mind is not your enemy, but it must be trained. Just like a wild horse, it will run in every direction if left uncontrolled. But with patience and the right guidance, it can be tamed, becoming your greatest ally instead of your biggest burden. Throughout this video, we will explore simple yet powerful ways to break free from this cycle of mental chaos. You will discover why thoughts keep repeating themselves, why negative emotions have such a strong grip, and most importantly, how to finally let go of the endless mental noise. The mind, when untrained, behaves like a storm, wild, unpredictable, and sometimes destructive. But once you learn the art of stillness, the storm begins to settle, revealing a sky that is vast, open, and free. Every teaching we discuss in the coming parts will bring you closer to this state, showing you how to find peace no matter what is happening around you. Are you ready to take the first step toward mastering your mind? Let's begin. The first teaching, the power of mindful breathing. Sit with me for a moment. Do not force yourself to be still, just let yourself be. Feel the way your body exists in this space. Notice the way your chest rises and falls. Now, take a deep breath in. Slowly, feel the air entering your body, filling your lungs. Hold it for just a second. Now let it out. Let it flow naturally, like a wave returning to the ocean. Breathing. It is something we do every moment of our lives, yet we rarely pay attention to it. The breath is always there, moving in and out, whether we notice it or not. But if you learn to truly notice, to truly connect with your breath, you will unlock one of the simplest and most powerful secrets to a quiet mind. Have you ever watched a candle flicker in the wind? The flame dances, moving wildly with every gust. But when the air is still, the flame stands steady, unwavering. Your mind is just like this. Thoughts come and go like the wind, pushing your mind in every direction. But your breath is always steady, always present. When you focus on it, you bring yourself back to the present moment. The wind may still blow, but the flame no longer flickers. The reason the mind feels so restless is because it is always running toward the future, toward the past, toward worries and distractions. It is never where you are, but the breath is always where you are. Right here, right now. That is why it is the perfect anchor. Whenever your thoughts begin to spiral, return to your breath. It is always waiting for you. Buddha once said, "The mind is like water. When it is turbulent, it is difficult to see. When it is calm, everything becomes clear." But how do you calm the water? You do not force it. You do not fight it. You simply allow it to settle. And the breath is the key to settling the mind. Try this. Close your eyes. Take a slow, deep breath in. Hold it for a moment. Now, release it gently. Do it again. This time, as you breathe out, imagine your thoughts softening, dissolving like mist in the morning sun. With each breath, you are not pushing your thoughts away. You are simply letting them float, without attachment, without resistance. Most people think meditation is about stopping thoughts. It is not. It is about noticing them without being controlled by them. Imagine sitting by a river, watching the water flow. Leaves float past. You do not chase them. You do not grab them. You simply watch. That is how you must treat your thoughts. Let them come. Let them go. Do not hold on to them. Do not fight them. Just breathe. Some days, the mind will be like a storm, thoughts rushing in from every direction. Other days, it will be like a quiet lake, still and peaceful. Do not judge either. The sky does not complain when clouds pass by. It simply remains open, vast, and unchanged. Your mind is the same. Let the thoughts be there, but do not let them control you. Keep returning to the breath. In life, there will always be noise. The world does not stop moving. People will talk, problems will come, distractions will arise. But no matter where you are, your breath is always with you. Even in the middle of chaos, if you can connect to your breath, you will find stillness. You do not need to escape the world to find peace. You only need to return to yourself. Many people search for peace in the outside world. They think if they change their circumstances, they will feel calm. But peace does not come from outside. It comes from within. If you do not learn to calm your mind where you are, you will not find peace anywhere. The breath is always with you. It is your greatest teacher. A troubled mind is like a room filled with dust. The more you move, the more the dust rises. But if you sit still, if you breathe, the dust settles. The air becomes clear, and you can finally see. So the next time your mind feels restless, do not try to fight it. Do not try to force it into silence. Instead, just breathe. Let the breath be your guide. Let it remind you that you are alive, that you are here, that this moment is enough. With each breath, you return to yourself. With each breath, you remember, peace is not something you find. It is something you allow. The second teaching, detachment from overthinking. Sit with me for a moment. Breathe in, breathe out. Now, tell me, how often does your mind cling to a thought, replaying it over and over again like a song stuck on repeat? It could be a mistake from the past, a conversation that didn't go as planned, or a future event that hasn't even happened yet. The mind grabs onto these thoughts and refuses to let go, dragging you into a spiral of overthinking. But tell me, has worrying ever changed the past? Has fear ever made the future more certain? Overthinking is like carrying a heavy bag on your back, filled with rocks. Every worry, every regret, every what if, is another rock you add. And yet, no one is forcing you to carry it. You could set it down anytime. But the mind is tricky. It whispers, you need to hold on to this. If you stop thinking about it, something will go wrong. And so, you carry the weight, even as it exhausts you. The Buddha once said, you are not punished for your anger. You are punished by your anger. The same is true for overthinking. It is not the thoughts themselves that cause suffering, but our attachment to them. Imagine a fire burning in front of you. If you stay close, it will burn you. But if you take a step back, the fire is still there, yet it no longer harms you. Detachment does not mean ignoring thoughts. It means stepping back from them, watching them without letting them consume you. Think of the sky. Clouds come and go, but the sky does not chase after them, nor does it try to stop them. It simply watches. Your mind is the sky, and your thoughts are just passing clouds. Some are dark, heavy, and full of rain, while others are light and harmless. But none of them stay forever. And yet, you act as if they do. You hold onto the storm clouds, refusing to let them pass. This is why your mind feels so restless, because it is fighting against something that was always meant to move. A person once came to the Buddha and said, "My thoughts trouble me. I try to stop them, but they keep coming back." The Buddha smiled and handed the man a cup of water. He said, "Shake this cup." The man did. The water inside became disturbed, moving chaotically. Then the Buddha said, "Now, place the cup on the ground and leave it alone." The man obeyed. Slowly, the water settled, becoming still and clear. The Buddha then spoke, "Your mind is like this water. The more you disturb it, the more restless it becomes. But if you leave it alone, it will settle on its own. So why do you resist stillness? Because you believe that thinking will solve everything. You believe that if you just think a little more, the answer will come, the problem will disappear, the pain will go away. But has it ever worked? The more you think, the deeper you sink into the quicksand of your own mind. The more you struggle, the harder it becomes to escape. Detachment does not mean running away from life. It means understanding that thoughts are just visitors. Some will knock on your door softly. Others will pound on it, demanding attention. But you are not required to let every visitor inside. You can simply observe, acknowledge their presence, and let them pass. Do you know why the river flows so effortlessly? Because it does not try to hold on to the water. It allows everything to pass through it. The mind should be the same. Thoughts come, thoughts go. Let them flow. Clinging to them is like trying to grab water with your hands. The tighter you hold, the faster it slips away. Now, think of the most persistent thought in your mind right now. Maybe it is an argument you had with someone. Maybe it is something you wish you had done differently. Maybe it is fear about the future. Whatever it is, imagine holding it in your hand like a small stone. Look at it. Study it. Now, ask yourself, does holding this stone change anything? Does it make you feel lighter? Or is it just adding weight to your heart? Now, gently place it down. Let it go. Watch how much lighter you feel. The path to a quiet mind is not about stopping thoughts. That is impossible. The path is about changing your relationship with them. Do not treat them as masters. Do not let them dictate how you feel. Instead, see them for what they are, passing clouds, flowing water, visitors at your door. And when a thought comes, instead of reacting, ask yourself, does this thought serve me? Or am I serving it? If a thought only brings worry, stress, or regret, let it go. It does not deserve your energy. Redirect your focus to the present moment, the only place where peace truly exists. Understand this. Your mind is not your enemy. It only becomes one when left unchecked. Train it with awareness. Treat thoughts like the ripples on a pond. They will always be there, but if you do not chase after them, they will fade on their own. This is detachment from overthinking. Not forcing thoughts away, but simply letting them pass. Not being a prisoner of the mind, but an observer of it. The moment you master this, you will feel something you have not felt in a long time: freedom, the art of impermanence. Listen carefully. Everything you see, everything you feel, and everything you experience, none of it will last forever. The sun rises, but it must set. Flowers bloom, but they will wither. Laughter fills the air, but soon fades into silence. No matter how tightly you hold on to a moment, it will slip through your fingers like grains of sand. This is the nature of life. It is always changing, always moving, never still. Yet, the mind refuses to accept this truth. It clings to what it loves, fearing the day it will lose it. It fights against what it dislikes, hoping to make it disappear. But the harder you resist change, the more you suffer. This is the source of your pain, the illusion that anything in this world can be permanent. Think about the moments in your life when you felt truly happy. Maybe it was the day you accomplished something great, or a time when you were with someone you loved. In those moments, it felt like happiness would last forever. But did it? Or did life, in its natural way, shift and change, pulling you into new experiences, new emotions, new struggles. Now think about the times when you were in deep sorrow. Maybe you lost something or someone, or maybe life didn't go the way you planned. In those moments, it felt like the pain would never end. But did it? Or did time, like a gentle breeze, carry you forward, healing wounds you once thought were impossible to heal? Everything changes. Nothing is fixed. This is the simple, yet powerful truth that Buddhism teaches: impermanence. Look around you. The people you know, the places you visit, the emotions you feel, all of them are like passing clouds. Some stay longer than others, but none remain forever. The problem is, the mind wants to hold on to them as if they will never leave. When you love someone, you wish they would never change. When you succeed, you wish things would stay the same. When you feel joy, you want to capture it, to make it last. But this desire to freeze time is what creates suffering. Imagine a river flowing through a valley. The water is always moving, never stopping, never looking back. If you try to hold onto the water with your hands, it slips through. But if you stand at the edge and simply watch, you see the beauty of the river without trying to control it. Life is just like this. If you try to control its flow, you will always be disappointed. But if you learn to let go and accept the movement, you will find peace. The Buddha once said, "Do not dwell on the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." Why? Because the past is gone and the future is unknown. But the mind keeps running between the two, always chasing, always worrying, always wishing. It refuses to rest in the only place where life truly happens, the present moment. When you understand impermanence, you stop clinging to things that cannot be held. You stop fearing change. You stop resisting life. And in that surrender, you discover something unexpected: freedom. Think about it. If you truly accept that everything is temporary, would you hold on to anger so tightly? Would you waste years of your life carrying resentment, knowing that even your worst enemy will one day fade like a shadow? If you knew that your worries, your struggles, your fears were all just passing clouds in the vast sky of existence, would you let them consume you? Most people live as if life will never change, as if tomorrow is guaranteed. But nothing is guaranteed. The only thing certain is that everything is uncertain. And while this may seem frightening at first, it is actually the key to liberation. Because when you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you finally begin to live. You love without fear of losing. You enjoy the present without worrying about the future. You let go of pain, knowing it will pass. You let go of pleasure, knowing it will fade. And in that letting go, you experience a peace that nothing in this world can shake. Impermanence is not something to fear. It is something to embrace. It means that no matter how dark the night, the sun will rise again. No matter how heavy the storm, the sky will clear. No matter how deep the sorrow, joy will return. And no matter how tightly you hold on to something, life will teach you, again and again, that everything must pass. So, do not waste your energy fighting the flow of life. Instead, learn to move with it. Watch the changing seasons of your mind without resistance. Appreciate the beauty of each moment, knowing it will never come again. Live fully, love deeply, and let go gracefully. Because in the end, the only way to truly quiet your mind is to stop holding on to what was and stop fearing what will be. Simply be here, now, in this fleeting, precious moment. Simplicity in the Zen state of mind. Sit down. Take a breath. Let everything slow down for a moment. Do you feel that? The tension in your shoulders, the weight in your mind, the rush of thoughts that never seem to stop? You carry so much, yet have you ever wondered, what if you don't have to? Life is full of noise. The world constantly tells you to do more, achieve more, chase more. It convinces you that happiness is in the next success, the next possession, the next moment. And so, you run. You fill your days with endless tasks, your home with endless things, and your mind with endless worries. But tell me, has it brought you peace? The more you have, the more you fear losing. The more you chase, the more restless you become. This is the trap of complexity. The mind believes that accumulating more will create security, but in truth, it only creates burden. Imagine carrying a heavy bag. At first, it feels manageable. But as time passes, the weight increases. Your back aches, your energy drains, and soon, all you want is to put it down. That is the power of simplicity. The moment you let go, you realize you never needed to carry so much in the first place. Simplicity is not about having nothing. It is about needing nothing. When the mind is filled with too many desires, it cannot rest. But when it is content, it becomes still. Think of a clear lake. When it is undisturbed, it reflects the sky perfectly. But when you throw stones into it, the water ripples, distorting the reflection. This is your mind. The more you throw into it, fears, expectations, regrets, the more disturbed it becomes. But remove the excess, and clarity returns. People believe that complexity makes life rich. But the richest life is the simplest one. Have you ever watched a child play with a single stick, laughing as if it is the greatest treasure? That is because their mind is light, free from unnecessary weight. They live in the moment, unburdened by the past or the future. But as we grow, we forget this natural state. We replace it with worry, with ambition, with comparison. And so, our joy fades. Zen teaches that simplicity is the doorway to peace. When you declutter your mind, space opens for stillness. When you stop chasing, life comes to you. And when you stop holding on, you are finally free. But simplicity is not just about the mind. It is also about how you live. Look at your surroundings. How many things do you own that you do not truly need? How many clothes, books, objects sit untouched, yet you still desire more? We fill our lives with possessions, thinking they will make us happy, but they only create attachment. And attachment creates fear. The fear of losing, the fear of not having enough, the fear of not being enough. Imagine waking up one day and realizing you have everything you need. Not because you own a lot, but because you no longer crave more. That is true freedom. That is the Zen state of mind. The Buddha once said, "A person who hoards wealth is like a man who eats poison instead of food." What does this mean? It means that excess, when mistaken for fulfillment, becomes suffering. You do not need to renounce everything, but you must ask yourself, do you own your possessions, or do they own you? Now let us talk about time. Have you noticed how people always say, "I don't have time," yet they spend hours lost in distractions? Time is not the problem. The problem is how much we try to fit into it. We believe that a full schedule means a full life. But a full schedule often means an empty heart. Simplicity is the art of removing what does not matter, so what truly matters can shine. Look at nature. A tree does not rush, yet it grows strong. A river does not force its path, yet it reaches the ocean. Simplicity is nature's way, and it can be yours too. But simplicity does not mean laziness. It does not mean doing nothing. It means doing what is necessary, no more, no less. A Zen master once said, "Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water." Do you see the wisdom in this? True peace is found in the simple, ordinary moments, not in seeking something beyond them. When you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. When you breathe, just breathe. Do not let the mind wander to 1,000 things. Be where you are. Feel the warmth of the sun, the weight of your steps, the air filling your lungs. That is life. That is simplicity. So, I ask you, what can you let go of today? A worry? A possession? An expectation? The moment you release, you create space. And in that space, peace enters. There is nothing you need to chase. There is nothing you need to prove. The quieter your life, the louder your soul speaks. And when you learn to listen, you will realize you already have everything you need. Compassion as a path to mental peace. Sit with me for a moment. Let go of whatever is pulling your mind in 1,000 directions. Breathe in deeply and listen. There is something you need to hear. Your mind is restless because it clings to pain. Your pain, the pain of others, the pain of the past, the pain of what might come tomorrow. It holds on to these things as if they define you, as if they are a part of who you are. But tell me, when has holding on to pain ever brought peace? When has replaying the past ever changed it? Most people think the way to quiet the mind is to avoid suffering, to escape it. But the Buddha taught something different. He said that true peace does not come from avoiding pain, but from embracing something greater, compassion. Compassion is not just kindness. It is not just feeling sorry for someone. It is deeper than that. It is the ability to see pain, whether in yourself or in others, and meet it with understanding instead of resistance. It is looking at suffering, not with fear, but with an open heart. When you cultivate compassion, your mind stops fighting reality. It stops resisting the truth of life. And when resistance ends, peace begins. Think about it. The mind becomes restless when it is filled with anger, resentment, or judgment. When someone hurts you, your thoughts keep returning to the pain. You replay the words, the actions, the unfairness of it all. You ask yourself, why did they do this to me? And with every repetition, the wound deepens. But what if, instead of feeding anger, you met that pain with compassion? What if you looked at the person who hurt you and said, they, too, are suffering. They, too, are lost in their own mind. This does not mean you allow others to harm you. It does not mean you let people walk over you. Compassion is not weakness. It is strength. It means you refuse to let the poison of hatred live inside you. It means you release yourself from the endless cycle of pain by choosing to understand rather than to resent. But compassion is not just for others. It must begin with yourself. How often do you judge yourself for your mistakes? How often do you replay your regrets, punishing yourself over and over again? Do you think this brings peace? No, it only keeps you trapped in suffering. The Buddha taught that you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you cannot show kindness to yourself, how can you offer it to the world? If you cannot forgive yourself, how will you ever forgive another? You must learn to hold your own pain with gentle hands, to tell yourself, I am human. I have struggled, but I do not have to suffer. Imagine a river. When it rains, dirt and mud flow into it, making the water murky and unclear. But if the river keeps flowing, if it does not become stagnant, the dirt eventually washes away, and the water becomes clear once more. Your heart is the same. Pain and anger will come, but if you allow them to pass through you instead of holding on to them, you will find clarity again. Compassion is the current that keeps your heart from becoming stagnant. It keeps pain from settling inside you. It reminds you that everything is temporary. Anger, sadness, resentment. All of it will pass if you let it. Think of someone you have been holding resentment toward. Someone whose actions have left a scar on your mind. Now ask yourself, what does carrying this anger do to you? Does it make you feel powerful? Or does it keep you trapped in a prison of your own thoughts? There is an old Zen story about two monks traveling together. They came across a woman who was struggling to cross a river. The older monk picked her up and carried her across, setting her down on the other side. Hours later, the younger monk could not hold back his frustration. Why did you carry that woman? He asked. We are monks. We should not touch women. The older monk smiled and said, I put her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her? That is what anger does. That is what resentment does. It forces you to carry something long after it should have been left behind. You do not need to carry this weight anymore. You do not need to hold on to the past. If you truly want peace, you must set it down. And when you do, something beautiful happens. Your mind, which once felt like a battlefield, begins to soften. The endless noise of anger and regret begins to fade. You start to see the world differently, not as a place of enemies and conflicts, but as a place of beings who, just like you, are trying to find their way. The greatest secret is this: compassion is freedom. When you stop wishing for people to be different, when you stop demanding that the world bend to your will, you finally become free. The mind that once fought against life learns to flow with it. And in that flow, in that letting go, true peace is found. So I ask you now, what are you still carrying? And are you ready to put it down? The middle way, balance and thought. Close your eyes for a moment and take a deep breath. Now, imagine standing at the edge of a deep valley. On one side, there is complete chaos, noise, confusion, endless worries. On the other, there is complete silence, no movement, no excitement, nothing to hold on to. Most people live swinging between these two extremes. They either drown in overthinking, or they try to escape life completely, shutting themselves off from everything. But the truth, the real peace, is found in the space between. The Buddha called this the middle way. Not too much, not too little, just the right balance. It is the path that leads to peace, not by running away from thoughts, but by learning how to hold them lightly. Like holding a bird in your hand, not too tight that you crush it, and not too loose that it flies away. When you learn to balance your mind, you don't need to force your thoughts to stop. They settle naturally, like ripples disappearing from a still lake. Think about your own mind for a moment. Do you find yourself lost in endless thinking, unable to stop analyzing every little detail? Or do you sometimes feel so overwhelmed that you just want to shut everything out? This struggle between overthinking and avoidance is what makes life so exhausting. One moment, the mind is full of restless energy, chasing thoughts like a dog running after its own tail. The next moment, it wants to escape, to numb itself with distractions, just to get some relief. But relief is not the same as peace. True peace is when the mind is calm but awake, still but aware, like the surface of a quiet pond, reflecting everything without being disturbed. The middle way is about learning how to stay present without being pulled too far in any direction. It is about knowing when to let go of thoughts and when to engage with them, without letting them control you. Most people believe that if they could just stop thinking completely, they would find peace. But the problem is not the thoughts themselves. The problem is attachment, the way we hold on to thoughts, believing they are more real than they actually are. A single negative thought enters the mind, and instead of letting it pass like a cloud in the sky, we grab onto it, analyze it, worry about it, and before we know it, we are trapped. Imagine sitting by a river, watching the water flow. A leaf falls onto the surface and is carried away. If you let it go, it disappears effortlessly. But if you try to grab it, the water splashes, and suddenly, your hands are wet, your clothes are wet, and you are struggling. Thoughts are the same. The more you fight them, the stronger they become. The middle way is learning how to watch the thoughts, without grabbing them, without struggling against them. This does not mean ignoring your mind. It means listening to it with wisdom. Some thoughts need attention, some do not. Some emotions must be felt, others must be let go. The mind becomes quiet when it trusts you, when it knows that you will not force it into silence, but also will not let it run wild. There is an old Zen story of a man riding a horse. The horse is galloping at full speed, and someone asks him, "Where are you going?" The man shouts back, "I don't know." Ask the horse. This is how most people live. The horse is the mind, running wild, and they are just holding on, being carried wherever it takes them. But a wise person takes the reins. A wise person learns to guide the horse, instead of being dragged by it. The middle way is not about becoming emotionless. It is about balance. When anger arises, you do not suppress it, but you also do not act on it blindly. When sadness comes, you feel it, but you do not drown in it. When joy appears, you enjoy it, but you do not cling to it desperately, fearing it will go away. Everything comes and goes, like waves in the ocean. The wise one does not fight the waves, nor do they run away from the water. They learn how to float. So, how do you find this balance? How do you stop swinging between extremes? The first step is awareness. Begin to notice when your mind is pulling you too far. Are you lost in thinking, analyzing, worrying about things that have not even happened yet? Or are you trying to shut everything out, avoiding reality, pretending that nothing matters? Simply notice. The moment you become aware of the imbalance, you are already taking the first step towards balance. The next step is pausing. When you catch your mind running in circles, take a breath. Do not react immediately. Just pause, even for a second. This small space between thought and reaction is where wisdom begins. It is in this tiny pause that you regain control. You are no longer just a passenger on the wild horse. You are learning to take the reins. The final step is returning to the present moment. The middle way is always here, always available. But the mind constantly pulls you into the past or the future, making you believe that peace is somewhere else. It is not. It is right here, in this very breath, in this very moment. The more you train yourself to return, the easier it becomes. The middle way is not a destination. It is not something you achieve once and never have to think about again. It is a practice, a way of walking through life with clarity, with wisdom, with peace. Some days, you will lose balance. Some days, the mind will try to pull you into extremes again. That is okay. The key is not to be perfect. The key is to keep coming back. Imagine a tightrope walker, balancing high above the ground. He does not stand perfectly still. He moves, adjusts, shifts his weight slightly, but always finds his center again. This is how the middle way works. It is not about never falling. It is about always returning. So, the next time your mind feels too loud, too chaotic, too overwhelming, pause. Take a breath. Remind yourself that peace is not in fighting the thoughts or running away from them. It is in standing in the middle, watching them come and go, untouched, like a mountain standing in the wind. This is the path to freedom. This is the way to a quiet mind. Meditation as the gateway to silence. Sit down, my friend. Let the world be as it is for a moment. Let go of everything that is pulling your mind in different directions. The noise, the distractions, the worries, set them aside. Just for now, take a deep breath. Inhale slowly. Feel the air enter your body, filling your lungs, bringing life to your being. Now exhale gently, releasing everything that is not needed. Do you feel that? That little pause between breaths? That stillness? That is the space where peace begins. The mind is like a restless monkey, always jumping from one thought to another. It does not sit still, not even for a second. It clings to the past, worries about the future, and refuses to stay in the present moment. But what if I told you that there is a way to calm this monkey mind? A way to bring it to stillness, to silence, to absolute peace? That way is meditation. People think meditation is difficult. They believe they need to empty their minds completely, to stop thinking altogether. But that is not true. Meditation is not about forcing thoughts away. It is about watching them, understanding them, and letting them go without being caught in them. Imagine you are sitting by a river, watching the water flow. The water does not stop, but you do not try to hold it. You simply watch. That is meditation. Right now, you may feel that your mind is too noisy, too restless. But let me ask you, have you ever tried sitting in silence? Truly sitting, without distractions, without a phone, without something to do? Most people never do. And when they finally try, they feel uncomfortable. Why? Because they come face to face with their own thoughts. They realize how chaotic their minds really are. They see the storm within them. And that is where the journey begins. Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." What does this mean? It means no matter how much you search for peace in the outside world, you will not find it. No amount of wealth, success, or love can bring true peace if your mind is still at war with itself. The only way to find lasting peace is to turn inward, to sit, to breathe, to watch. This is meditation. When you sit in meditation, you may notice thoughts rising and falling, just like waves in the ocean. Some are gentle, some are strong, some are memories, some are fears. But no matter how big or small they all pass. The problem is not the thoughts themselves. It is our habit of clinging to them. We hold on to old pain. We replay past mistakes. We worry about what has not yet happened. Meditation teaches us to let go. Have you ever looked up at the sky on a cloudy day? The clouds move, but the sky remains. Your thoughts are like clouds, passing, changing, never still. But your mind, at its core, is like the sky, vast, open, untouched. Meditation helps you return to that sky. It helps you realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer. And once you understand this, the grip of thoughts begins to loosen. Most people live their entire lives as prisoners of their own minds. They react without thinking. They suffer because of their own thoughts. They are controlled by emotions they do not understand. But the one who learns to meditate is free. Free from unnecessary worry. Free from useless fears. Free from the endless noise of the mind. The storms may still come, but they no longer shake him. But here is the truth. Meditation is not just something you do for a few minutes every day. It is a way of living. You do not need to sit cross-legged in a quiet room to meditate. You can meditate while walking, while eating, while listening, while working. The real meditation is staying present, fully aware of each moment, not lost in thought, not trapped in the past or future. Try this. The next time you drink water, do it with full awareness. Feel the glass in your hand. Observe the clarity of the water. Notice the coolness as it touches your lips. Taste it fully. Do nothing but drink. No thoughts, no distractions, just drinking. This is meditation. When you live like this, every moment becomes sacred. Every action becomes a form of stillness. A wandering mind is an unhappy mind. The mind that is always somewhere else, thinking about yesterday, worrying about tomorrow, can never find peace. But the mind that is fully here, in this moment, is free. Meditation is not about escaping life. It is about finally living it, without the noise, without the chaos, without the endless distractions. The greatest truth is this: silence is already within you. It has always been there, beneath the noise. You do not need to create peace. You only need to uncover it. And the way to uncover it is simple. Sit, breathe, watch. Nothing more. The more you practice, the more you will understand. And one day, without effort, without struggle, you will find that your mind is no longer restless. It is silent. It is still. And in that silence, there is a peace beyond all words. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe in deeply. Feel the air filling your lungs, then slowly let it out. Do it again and again. Do you feel that? A small, almost imperceptible stillness settling within you? That is the beginning of something powerful. That is the doorway to peace. Many people think meditation is only about sitting cross-legged with eyes closed. But true meditation is not limited to a cushion. It is how you walk, how you eat, how you speak, and how you listen. It is the way you do the simplest things, washing your hands, drinking water, tying your shoelaces, with complete awareness. This is what it means to turn daily life into a meditative practice. Imagine waking up in the morning, not rushing, not reaching for your phone, not letting the weight of yesterday invade the freshness of today. Instead, you wake up with awareness. You feel the warmth of your blanket, the coolness of the air. You notice the sound of birds, the rhythm of your breath. In that moment, you are meditating. You pour yourself a cup of tea. You feel the heat of the cup against your fingers. You see the steam rise. You take a sip, tasting the earth, the sun, the rain that nurtured the leaves. You are fully present. That is meditation. When you walk, you feel the ground beneath your feet. You notice how your body moves, the gentle sway, the shifting of weight. You are not lost in thought. You are not trapped in yesterday or reaching for tomorrow. You are just here, walking, breathing, living. Even when you speak, you can meditate. Instead of reacting, you pause. You listen. You feel the weight of your words before you release them. You choose them with care, knowing that words can heal or harm, can bring peace or disturbance. This is mindfulness in action. And what about work? Most people think work is separate from inner peace. But it is not. If you bring full awareness to whatever you do, whether it is writing, building, cooking, or cleaning, it becomes a meditation. Your mind does not wander. It does not resist. You are simply doing what needs to be done, fully, completely, with presence. But there will be distractions, noise, stress, interruptions, worries. The world will not stop for you to meditate, and it does not need to. The practice is not about escaping the world. It is about bringing awareness into it. Even in the middle of chaos, you can return to your breath. You can return to presence. This is not about forcing the mind to be quiet. The mind, by its nature, will move like a river. Thoughts will come and go. But when you are present, you do not get swept away. You watch. You observe. Like a mountain watching clouds pass by, unaffected, undisturbed. There will be days when the mind is restless, when focus seems impossible. That is all right. Do not fight it. Do not judge it. Simply return, again and again, to awareness, to your breath, to the sensation of being here, now. Even eating can become a meditation. Instead of eating mindlessly, rushing, swallowing without tasting, you slow down. You feel the texture of food, the flavors, the nourishment. You chew with awareness. You appreciate the hands that grew it, the sun and soil that nurtured it. Even washing dishes can be meditation. Feel the water against your skin. Hear the gentle clinking of plates. Notice the movements of your hands. There is nothing boring about it. It is alive, vivid, real. And in this way, life itself becomes the practice. Not separate from meditation, but meditation itself. Not something you do only when sitting in silence, but something you carry with you everywhere, in every moment. So begin now, in this very breath, in this very moment. Do not wait for a perfect time. Do not wait for life to slow down. The opportunity is always here. The doorway to peace is always open. All you have to do is step through. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath. Can you feel it? That subtle storm inside you? The unease, the heaviness, the racing thoughts? It's like waves crashing endlessly against the shore, never stopping, never resting. The mind, when left unchecked, becomes a restless ocean. But what if I told you peace is not something you have to chase? It's already here. It has always been here. You just need to see it. Every day, emotions rise and fall within us like the wind moving through the trees. Anger, sadness, frustration, each one comes like a visitor at your door, knocking, waiting to be acknowledged. But what do we usually do? We either slam the door in their face, pretending they don't exist, or we invite them in and let them take over our home. Neither brings peace. The Buddha taught a different a way to welcome each emotion, see it for what it is, and let it go without clinging to it. Think about it. When you hold a hot cup of tea, you feel the warmth in your hands. You don't become the tea. You don't burn yourself by gripping it too tightly. You simply hold it, enjoy its presence, and set it down when it cools. This is how we must treat our emotions. They are not you. They are passing sensations, not permanent truths. When anger comes, recognize it. Anger is here. When sadness arises, acknowledge it. Sadness has arrived. But do not say, I am angry or I am sad. The moment you claim it as your identity, it takes root. Have you ever noticed how pain intensifies the more you resist it? A headache feels worse when you constantly think, I wish this would stop. But when you breathe into it, when you allow it to exist without fighting, something changes. It loosens. It softens. The same happens with emotional pain. The suffering is not in the emotion itself. It is in our resistance to it. Buddhism teaches us that everything is temporary. Your happiest moments, your saddest days, your deepest heartbreak, they are all like clouds in the sky. They drift, they change, they disappear. And yet, the sky remains untouched. You are the sky. Your thoughts, your emotions, your struggles, these are just passing clouds. No matter how stormy it gets, the vast sky is always there, unchanged, unshaken. But knowing this is not enough. You must practice it. And how do you practice? Through awareness. The next time an emotion rises, instead of reacting immediately, pause. Just for a moment. Observe it as if you were watching a leaf floating on a river. Does it stay? Does it change? Does it dissolve? The more you do this, the more you realize you are not the emotion. You are simply the space in which it appears. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack all day. You feel its weight on your shoulders. It drags you down, exhausts you. But the moment you decide to put it down, relief floods your body. Nothing outside changed, only your decision to let go. Emotional burdens work the same way. You are carrying so much, past regrets, future worries, unspoken pain. But do you have to? What would happen if you simply set them down? Letting go doesn't mean suppressing. It means trusting that you don't need to hold on to every single thought, every single emotion. Like the river does not cling to the leaves it carries, you too can let things flow. This is where true peace is found, not in controlling your emotions, but in understanding that they do not control you. Many people believe they must fix every negative thought, solve every emotional problem before they can feel peace. But peace is not at the end of a long journey. It is in the step you take right now, at this very moment. You don't need a perfect life to be at peace. You only need to realize that your mind is not your enemy. It is simply a tool, a river, a sky, a passing breeze. When the mind is quiet, the world changes. A small problem no longer feels like a disaster. An insult no longer stings as deeply. An unexpected situation no longer brings panic. Why? Because you are no longer reacting blindly. You are seeing clearly. You are aware. And awareness dissolves suffering like sunlight melts away the morning fog. Have you ever watched a candle burn? The flame dances, flickers, but remains steady at its core. This is how the mind should be, moving, flowing, but always grounded in stillness. The fire does not fight the wind, it simply exists within it. You too can exist within life's chaos without becoming the chaos itself. When emotions come, be gentle with them. Be gentle with yourself. Do not scold your mind for feeling anxious. Do not punish your heart for feeling pain. Instead, sit with it. Offer it kindness. Imagine a child crying. Would you yell at them to stop? Or would you kneel beside them, hold their hand, and whisper, I am here? Treat yourself with that same compassion. And most importantly, remember this. You are not broken. You do not need to be fixed. There is nothing wrong with you for feeling deeply, for experiencing emotions. The goal is not to silence the mind forcefully, but to understand it so well that it naturally quiets on its own. Breathe in, breathe out, let go. No thought, no feeling, no moment will last forever. And that is the most freeing truth of all. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe in, feel the air filling your lungs. Breathe out, let go of everything. Now, ask yourself, what is truly holding you back? Is it the world? Or is it the weight of your own thoughts? For so long, you have been a prisoner, not of chains, not of walls, but of the endless noise in your mind. The restless thoughts, the doubts, the regrets, the fears, they follow you like shadows, whispering at every step. You try to escape, but where do you run? Even in silence, they are there. Even in sleep, they find you. Buddha once said, "Your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts." What does this mean? It means that no matter what the world throws at you, it is your mind that decides whether you suffer or remain at peace. Pain is real, but suffering is a choice. Look at a river. The water flows. It does not stop. It does not cling to the rocks. It does not cry over the leaves that fall into it. It simply moves forward, effortlessly, naturally. But the human mind? It holds on. It clings to pain, to memories, to what-ifs, to should-haves. It refuses to flow. It fights against reality. And that, my dear one, is why there is suffering. You may ask, how do I free myself? The answer is simple. Not easy, but simple. Let go. Let go of the belief that you must control everything. Let go of the idea that your thoughts define you. Let go of the illusion that peace is something you must chase. Peace is already here. It is always here. But your mind is too loud to hear it. Imagine you are sitting by a lake. The water is still, clear. It reflects the sky, the trees, the sun. But then, you pick up a stone and throw it in. Ripples form. The reflection breaks. This is your mind when it is restless, when it is filled with worries. But what happens if you do nothing? If you simply sit and wait? The ripples settle. The water returns to stillness. This is what happens when you stop fighting your thoughts, when you allow them to come and go without grasping them. You do not need to silence your mind forcefully. You only need to stop feeding the noise. Every time you react, every time you engage with the thoughts that trouble you, you are throwing another stone into the lake. But if you watch them, without fear, without attachment, they lose their power. They pass like clouds in the sky. It is not the absence of thoughts that brings peace. It is the ability to not be disturbed by them, to see them, to acknowledge them, and yet remain untouched. This is liberation. This is freedom. You may think, but my past is heavy. My mistakes, my regrets, they follow me. No, dear one, it is you who carries them. Set them down. Leave them behind. The past is a shadow. It has no weight unless you choose to hold it. Right now, in this moment, you are free. Right now, in this breath, nothing is missing. People chase happiness like it is something outside of them. They believe it will come when everything is perfect, when there are no problems, no struggles. But happiness is not the absence of hardship. It is the presence of acceptance. To accept life as it is. To accept yourself as you are. To stop resisting the moment. Imagine a candle. It does not struggle to shine. It simply is. You, too, are like this candle. Your peace, your joy, your freedom, they are already inside you. You do not need to create them. You only need to remove what covers them. The fears, the attachments, the endless seeking. Let them go, and what remains is your true nature, calm, unshaken, free. And when you understand this, when you no longer fight against life, something magical happens. The things that once troubled you lose their grip. The fears that once controlled you begin to fade. You stop trying to escape your mind, and instead, you learn to rest in it. To find stillness even in the storm. You have always been free. You have always been at peace. You simply forgot. But now, you remember. Now, you see. The chains were never real. The door was never locked. You were never trapped. You only needed to wake up. So wake up, dear one. The prison was only an illusion. And now, you are free. A new beginning, living with a quiet mind. Imagine you have been walking for miles, carrying a heavy sack of stones on your back. Each stone represents a thought, a worry, a fear. Now, you finally reach a quiet place, a peaceful meadow, where you are told, you can put the sack down. You hesitate. You have carried it for so long that it feels like a part of you. But then, you let it go. The weight vanishes. Your body feels lighter, your breath deeper, your mind clearer. That is what it means to live with a quiet mind. It is not about running away from life. It is about finally understanding how to live it. For so long, the mind has been a battlefield. Thoughts clashing, worries rising like storms, regrets pulling you back like chains. But through this journey, you have learned something profound. The mind is not meant to be fought. It is meant to be understood. The noise was never the problem. The problem was believing that you had to control it. In truth, all you ever needed to do was step back, watch, and let it settle on its own. There was a time when every small thing disturbed you. A careless word from someone, an old memory, an uncertain future. But now, you see these things differently. Like ripples in a pond, they come and go. You no longer throw stones into the water, trying to fight the ripples. You just sit by the shore and watch. The water becomes still, effortlessly. You have practiced mindful breathing, letting each inhale and exhale bring you back to the present. You have learned detachment, understanding that not every thought deserves your attention. You have embraced impermanence, realizing that nothing, good or bad, lasts forever. Simplicity has become your path, making space in your mind by letting go of unnecessary burdens. Compassion has softened your heart, turning anger and resentment into understanding. Balance has become your way of living, neither clinging nor rejecting, but flowing like a river. And meditation has become your refuge, not as an escape, but as a return to yourself. Now, here you stand at the end of this journey. But in truth, this is not an end at all. It is a new beginning. The mind is no longer a prison. It is a garden, open and peaceful. And the world? It has not changed. The noise, the chaos, the struggles, they are still there. But you have changed. You are no longer trapped in them. You walk through life with a deep, unshakable calm. There will still be moments when the mind stirs, when thoughts rush in like waves. That is natural, but you now know that you are not the waves. You are the vast ocean beneath them, deep, silent, undisturbed. The surface may move, but the depths remain still. Maybe people will not understand your calmness. They will wonder why you do not react the way you used to, why you do not get lost in arguments, why you do not dwell in the past, why you do not fear the future. But that is okay. A quiet mind does not need to prove itself. It is its own reward. Happiness is not something you chase anymore. It is something you allow. Peace is not something you search for. It is something you create, moment by moment. You no longer see life as a battle to be won, but as a melody to be listened to, a dance to be enjoyed, a breath to be taken fully. If a storm comes, you do not panic. You take shelter in your inner stillness. If the world becomes loud, you close your eyes and return to the silence within. If worries arise, you smile, knowing that they are just passing clouds in an endless sky. You have reached a place where nothing outside can truly disturb you. Not because life has changed, but because your mind has. And that is the greatest freedom of all. This is your new life. Not a life free from challenges, but a life free from unnecessary suffering. Not a life without problems, but a life where problems no longer control you. A life where you walk lightly, speak kindly, and live deeply. Now, take a deep breath. Feel the air fill your lungs. Listen to the silence between your thoughts. This is peace. This is freedom. This is what it means to truly live. If this journey has brought you even a little closer to that peace, then carry it forward. Share it, live it, and let it shine through you. Wisdom Woven has been honored to walk this path with you. If these teachings have helped, let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you wish to continue learning, like, share, and subscribe. The path does not end here. It only begins.